If you're stuck in the daily grind of creating content for your brand, this episode we talk about how the best brands in the world do it. Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Radical Content. I'm your host, Eric Gray. Super pumped. The whole crew is here today. We have a big show, and you guys know what tonight is. It's crazy. Tonight, we celebrate 2 years of Maverick in business. Yeah, you can give it up. Yeah, Brittany's the only one excited about it. Everybody else is in professional production mode. But we got a whole thing planned. Hopefully, you guys will see some content come out from that tonight. I did write a speech, Brittany, so I tell everybody to get ready to cry, but we know who's crying. It's going to be me. But no, it's a cool moment in time for us. This podcast is going to come out in a few weeks, but June 29th, 2023 was when we officially started Maverick, and so we got this whole party set up. Right now, literally outside of these four walls, there are people that are putting up high top tables. I saw a lot of tequila somewhere, so I think there's going to be some margs. So it's going to be a long day. We're shooting 2 podcasts and then jumping into a party, but we're excited. Today's episode, also super excited about. We've got a content of the lab, and we got content of the week and a special guest. And I'm not going to tell you what the special guest is or what they're doing because I want my retention graph in YouTube to stay with me. I want you to stay with me because you can't wait to see who's going to join us on the podcast to deliver content of the week. Cool? Here we go. Let's do some content lab. All right, welcome into Content Lab. The goal of this segment is to really kind of take something we've learned over the many, many years of doing this and bring it forward to help you in your jobs. And so one of the things that you guys do all the time is you plan content, you brainstorm content, you're always coming up with ideas, you're trying to fill calendars. Man, how many people do I talk to that are like posting stuff that they're doing now and it's in like 6 days? So what we want to do is we want to get you out of that grind of trying to say, what am I posting Friday? And being so stressed out, the calendar's not even planned next week, much less created, right? Like, I know I'm talking to some of you, and it's probably stressing you out. And we've worked with clients all the time, and one of the best things that I think that we get to do, this is not an ad for Maverick, but it is to kind of build out the infrastructure of what it means to be a mature social and content team. And so the best way that I know how to do this, and the thing that's going to help you scale your content, it's going to help you get further planned out, and ultimately, it's going to help you tell better stories and connect with your audiences. How do you do content programming? So this is before you've brainstormed stuff. This is before you're out creating stuff for TikTok. This is before you have that idea. It's how are you programming all these channels? And man, I learned this in kind of a gut way. So I was in sports radio for many, many years, a long time ago, and I had 16 segments I had to fill every single week. And what's funny about it is it wasn't scary. It was actually pretty easy. I had 2 or 3 segments that I knew we were always going to do. So they were repeatable formats. So we always knew we were going to do a look back at something from the night before. It was sports radio in San Antonio. So we were always going to talk about the game from the night before. We might have had a news and notes segment. So someone pulled a few articles and we were ready to go for that. And so we had some stuff that was a repeatable format. But then there was all this stuff that we had to fill. And we literally had almost nothing going into the day. And we'd do some research. We'd find out what's happening. We'd pull together some segments. We have a pre-show meeting, and then we get kind of into it. But at the end of the day, we were programming every single block. This is another one that I like to talk about because this is the one that I think makes people go, aha. It's SNL. So I might have even talked about this a little bit on the podcast. Every week, SNL has to program 10 sketches. Now, they've got tons of writers. They create 40. Only 10 make the show. But they know before that week, we have 2 digital shorts. We've got weekend update. We already know that we've got some repeatable formats. Now, how are we going to program those other 7 or those other 8? That is called programming. The deciding of what's going to go into these buckets is called programming. And I did this kind of in a gut way, but for a long time in radio. But when I got into digital and social, and I was like, this is so hard. How can I plan this out? And what kind of content do people even want? How do I get on the front end of all of this thing? How do we be more strategic? Make sure the content that we're creating is actually valuable to our audience. I stumbled onto something, and I know that Alex is in the room, our new creative director. I know Alex is familiar with this. Way back in the day when YouTube was just popping off, and creators was the lifeblood, still kind of is, but of their business. They created something called the YouTube's Creator Playbook. They've since updated it. So if you go look at it now, it's going to say something different. But I wanted to show you what it was before. I'm going to show this as a prop. You don't have to zoom in on this or anything. Maybe we can pop it up. But I printed this out. They called this their content pyramid. They called it programming. How do you program a YouTube channel? And I want to pause for a second and say two things here. Why do we even do this? Why is programming important? It's because you've got two goals when you're in a seat like you're in. Your two goals are, how am I building an audience, and how am I creating always-on engagement? Now, the phrase always-on engagement or posting all the time stresses out some people in social. There's this whole thing going on right now of like, just take a break. You don't have to post every single day. The algorithm won't kill you. And while that is all true, and I hope it makes people feel good, the only way to build an audience is to create consistent connection with them all the time. Consistent connection with them all the time. So how do you do that? It's through programming. So YouTube's called it Hero, Hub, and Hygiene. Maybe Marmal, you can create a little triangle here. It's got Hero at the top, Hub in the middle, and Hygiene at the bottom. Great. Hopefully you did that. This is how they programmed out. This is how they suggested creators program out their channels. You've got hero content, the big content, the tentpole moments that get broad awareness. You've got what they called hub content. This is, and we'll go into more detail here in a second because we kind of stole a version of this and I want to talk about it in detail. It's kind of searchable stuff. What does your audience want all the time? And then hygiene, I always kind of thought this one was confusing, if I'm honest. They described it as always on pull content designed for your core audience. We've kind of augmented that and changed it up a little bit to be what we called real time. But the point of that, if you think about this as a graph, you know, they called it tentpole. So you've got one big moment here. This is a big brand launch or a big documentary story that you're kind of creating. And then in 2 months, you got another big documentary, right, that you're doing. Okay, well, there's 2 months there. How do we fill that 2 months of engagement and keep people connected? Well, that's where you've got those secondary bullets. So maybe you got 3 or 4 of those secondary beats. Maybe these are searchable pieces of content. So you've got those secondary beats that you've got to come up. And it's like, great, but there's also some space and some gaps between that. How do we continue to build audiences in those moments? And that's what they call the hygiene. Those are kind of reactive, kind of quick turn, and kind of social first moments. And if you step back and you look at it, you go, okay, now we can plan a calendar. We only need 3 big stories. We need a handful of middle stories. And then we got to have a bunch of little stuff. Programming can happen for anything, literally. Like you can program your TikTok account like this. You can program YouTube, a magazine, a TV network. Like all media can be programmed like this. We use this method to program our entire social and content footprint at Universal. But you can program anything. I wanted to read something to you because I thought this was really cool. And I'm shouting out Jess Smith because we're also trying to get her on the show. And maybe if I shout her out, she'll come on the show. No, she's just been busy lately. We haven't connected. But Jess Smith used to work at Stewart Haas Racing. Now she's a big social media wig at NASCAR. But she has this blog that she doesn't really update much anymore, socialandsport.com. And I saw this article she wrote a while back, and it was called Planning is a Superpower. Man, nobody does this better than sports because fans are 365. Like, you got to be out there connecting with them. And if you're in the day-to-day grind all the time and not planning ahead, man, you're dead in the water. And she really articulates this. So go find this article and read the full thing. We'll put the link in the show notes. Great. Or in the description for YouTube if you're watching us there. But I want to read a couple things here. Working in sports can make it easy to fall into a reactionary mode, constantly responding to the day-to-day events and losing sight of the big picture. I don't think that's just isolated to sports, right? When you got posts that you got to get out that aren't done for Friday, you're constantly reacting. When all you're doing is chasing trends, you're constantly reacting. And what she's saying is covering live sports is hard because there's always news of the day. But to strategically fill up a calendar, you can't operate a content team where all you're doing is news of the day because you got to wait for the news to break to then come up with an idea to then go publish. It's unsustainable. So what you got to do is find ways to create interesting stories for your audience, evergreen stories for your audience, and that's what programming does. There was one other quote that she had in here towards the end that I just thought was so good. She calls it planning. I call it programming. Think of it as a flexible structure. It's nearly impossible to lock in a content plan for the entire season, NASCAR season for her. But if you nail down the content franchise tentpole moments and strong weekly programming, that's what we're kind of saying is that middle tier and reactive, your team will have an incredible content plan and be ready to flex when moments happens. The last line, the bottom line is create a culture of planning. You'll be amazed at how it will take the team's work to the next level. I'm a nerd about this stuff because I just got chills reading some of those words because I've spent a lot of time trying to perfect that. So that's a little bit of the philosophy, a little bit, and we talked a little bit about the what, but I want to really define how we talk about the what here at Maverick because I got papers all over the place. So we kind of created this thing that we call our programming content strategy. I've literally been using this for years. I've kind of ripped it off from YouTube a little bit, but made it work for me for a brand world and made it work for me in all the channels. And so we call it Hero, Secondary, and Real Time. So Hero, I'll read this for you. Large scale, tentpole, go big content moments designed to raise brand awareness, to push your message out. These are highly produced original videos. These are influencer partnerships. These are sweepstakes or engagement campaigns. These are those big moments. There's not 100 of these. There's got to be like 4 to 5. Secondary, regularly scheduled content designed to engage your prime customer. High quality searchable articles answering their customers' most frequent questions. This is really, really good for YouTube. And then we call real time. How can you create real time micro social, but just snackable content? This is that always on quick content designed to engage your target audience. So that's it. You've got to understand, I didn't say this in the beginning, what is your content strategy? Who is your audience? And then how do you program all of your channels to create always on engagement? I know this is a little dense and probably a little niche, but I hope there's detail in these frameworks that can help you do your jobs better. And I hope this is something that you share with your team. That's what I hope. I hope you see this and you share it with your team and you're like, man, we've got to find a way to do this. We know we're not out in front of content. We know we're behind. We're not planning well enough because we don't understand the framework and the structure of Hero, Secondary, and Real Time. So please kind of take this and steal it because I believe it will help you. The other thing that I love about this method is it kind of gives you level of effort, right? Hero, you're going to spend more money on there. You're going to have more time on it. It's going to take longer to produce. Secondary, these things have got to find a way to be pretty quick. Real Time, man, you got to be empowered to like create and publish. And I know not all brands have that. We can talk about that another day because we spent a lot of time trying to get some permission to do that. And honestly, the best teams in social are the ones that are empowered to create and they can impact audiences. And that's literally that whole real time bucket. What we're not going into today is just because it would be too long, is each of these kind of have their own people, process, and technology. They really do, right? You can't run real-time content through the same process as Hero content, right? So Hero is going to have a longer form content development process. Secondary, a little bit more infrastructure, but still it's got to find a way to have smaller amounts of people, pretty quick turn. And then real time, it's got to be sprints, right? You got to have the right people in the right place to do the right work. Okay, hopefully that was good. But the last thing I wanted to do here is I wanted to bring it to life. So this is what we did at Universal. Very, very simple, but I think really, really easy. And we started from the beginning, and 2 years later, you can look at some of the things that the team is doing still today that's practicing this programming content strategy. The first one was, how do we do hero content for Universal? Well, if you go on Universal's YouTube page right now, there's big branded entertainment, hero level videos. One of them's called Universal Stories. These are documentary films about our guest. Unreal Vacations is what we kind of talk about it internally. There's other branded entertainment. We had a show that we called The Ride Guys, and it's literally like exactly what it sounds like. 2 guys riding rides and reacting, but it's elevated production, scripted. They're really, really good. You can't do, 10 of these in a month, but you can do 2 of these in a month, and it's going to have people coming back to your YouTube channel because you're creating really compelling, entertaining content. That's Hero. There's a lot more Hero content that's existing there. So what is Secondary? We had a weekly podcast. We had the Discover Universal podcast that was going out every single week. We had 2 articles that were being posted on the blog every single week. These were highly searchable tips. What are people wanting to know about coming to book a vacation at Universal? We wanted to take all those questions and create content and serve it up to them. So guess what? They come back to us as the trusted source. And the last one, Real Time. This was our Twitter account. This was funny memes. This was content to engage. This is behind the scenes. And so we literally did this at Universal as part of a brand. And I know we had a big team and you're sitting there going, we could never do this. I promise you can take this model as small as you need to or as big as you need to. It's so, so flexible. The last one that I want to give an example on, and it's just because I'm a sucker for Dude Perfect, but I like to bring these things to life because I want you to understand what it can look like. So if you follow a creator like Dude Perfect, or look at any creator and try to layer this over the top of how they build audiences, I promise you they're doing something like this. So Dude Perfect, Hero, they do brand films. They don't do brand films every single month, but if you know their Quest series, if you saw their documentary of their 10 years in business, or if you saw how they hit the tallest basketball shot, I mean, they did a documentary film that was 18 minutes long about this. These are their hero moments that reach broad awareness. They promote them. They treat them like campaigns. Secondary. What are their secondary content types? Stereotypes, overtimes, all their battles, their trick shots. These are things they can create a little bit quicker. They have a lot more of them. They're coming up every single Saturday. And then, you go to YouTube Shorts right now. And shout out to my guy, Chad Coleman. He's I think he's now the chief brand officer for Dude Perfect. He was on this show. So friend of the podcast, Chad Coleman, because he brought just such a personality to social, and they're doing so much behind the scenes of their challenges. But that's like their snackable bite-sized stuff that they're doing in real time. And remember, the goal is, how are we building audiences and how are we engaging always on? We got to get kind of planned out. Dude Perfect did that. We did that at Universal. Oh, by the way, we're doing that with this podcast. Like, the Radical Content Show is the hero piece, but we have a newsletter. We're doing we're doing clips on social. So I promise you it works. So that is the Content Lab today. It will help you find a way to get further planned out. It will help you create more content at scale. And here's the last little nugget I want to tell you. It will help you in your career. It will build such credibility when you go around and start shopping your new programming strategy of how you're going to program your channels. Oh my God, your boss and their boss will be like, that person has got this under control. It helped me build a lot of credibility when we were trying to establish what we did at Universal, and I think it can help you too. So there you go, Content Lab. That was fun. Welcome into Content of the Week. This is that wonderful segment where we go scour the internet and bring you a couple ideas of something that's happening in the world of content. A lot of times it's brands. Most of the time it's brands. Sometimes we'll steal stuff from creators or media companies. Look, we're just out there looking for cool stuff to bring to you, to inspire you, to do great work. And I teased you at the beginning of the show, who is the special guest and what is happening. Hopefully you stuck with us. And Brittany Cruz, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Radical Content. Brittany is a producer for Radical Content. She's a social content strategist for Maverick Content Studio. She is a worship leader, a mom. She's got the cutest daughter in the world. And we're pumped to have you on the show today, Britt.
Hi.
Are you excited to be here?
Yes, let's go, guys.
This
let's
is like
do
the
this.
first time we've done this.
Oh, we get to
we get to really
for real.
have a little fun here.
Yeah, I'm excited.
All right, so you're gonna go find some stuff.
Yes.
We've then talked about it beforehand, so this isn't like new. I'm not being surprised with Content of the Week. And then we're gonna talk about it. We're gonna have a little fun.
Yeah.
What do we got first?
All right, first we have Ryan Trahan, YouTuber. Man, these guys are killing it every year. This dude pops up, has the tentpole piece of content, which is what we just talked about in the last segment, right? And every year he does something amazing, but this particular year, he's traveling to 50 states in 50 days, raising $1 million for St. Jude, and traveling to different Airbnbs every time.
Yeah.
I
love this so much. We'll play a little clip here in a second. I love this so much. And great intro there for Ryan Trahan. He's also a friend of Dude Perfect, so I do see his stuff a lot because my kids keep asking me, is he safe to watch? Can we watch Ryan Trahan? We think, by the way, I don't know if it's safe to watch. Is he safe to watch? He's good? Okay, he's on the Dude Perfect app, which they kind of say, all right, whatever, I digress. But yeah, I think great segue, right? Like, tentpole moment. How can we find ways to create massive attention for our audience? This is kind of one of those moments for him. And I watched a little bit of one of the episodes, and it's him and his wife, and they're like jumping in the car. He forgot gas, and so like he had to stop and get gas. He went to a Buc-ee's, which, by the way, we need to do a Buc-ee's Content of the Week, by the way. I went to Buc-ee's a couple weeks ago. Coming back from North Carolina. But this was so good. So good. You want to watch a clip?
Yeah, let's watch the clip.
Let's check this out.
This is a map of America. There are 50 states, and this summer I'm going to attempt my dream of going to all 50 in just 50 days. Here are the rules.
Here's the thing I like about this. That brands just don't get. These guys spend so much time trying to come up with an idea people will actually watch. You know, we talk about this a lot here. How much time do you spend like sharpening the idea, working on the creative development to make this something that will pop off? Brands, man, they're just like, come with an idea, put a bunch of media behind it, and push it in front of people. And Trahan and creators are like, no, we have to fight for attention with wild creativity. And so coming up with something that's like 50 states in 50 days, throw in the feel-good thing about St. Jude's Hospital, throw in the Airbnb, throw in the Wheel of Doom. That's a thing. You can go watch it. You throw all these things in, and all of a sudden, you've created something that's compelling, interesting, and it's like full of hooks. Because you kind of want to see what happens in every state. You want to see what happened. Like you started in Texas, I think. And I still don't know where he went next because I didn't get past that yet. I got to go back and watch the end of it.
Brands, like, they try so hard to be cool, and these creators are just making these massive decisions and combining 7 hooks in one video, and brands will like save hooks. Like, we should save that. We shouldn't go that far, and we shouldn't do that much. That's a little too much. But like, creators are actually jumping out there and making it happen and then doing it over and over again. And then guess what? Brands will get jealous and be like, they're not going to do that next year. Yeah. We're not going to see them again. And here they go again, just doing it.
Yeah, so the call out to all of our brand friends out there is what's your big summer thing? What are you planning for your big fall that's not a product?
But speaking of products, though, he does put his products
That's
really
true.
easily inside his content and actually talks about it over and over again, which actually kind of hurts my feelings because shameless plugs, shameless plugs get on my nerves.
We need to play some sad music right now.
I do. Shameless plugs get on my nerves, but like, it's working. It works.
All right, that was a lot about creators, and I know people, when brands hear me talk about creators, they're like, we can't do that. We got so many different rules. And my thing would be like, maybe you can't do this, but you can be more creative than you are. So let's keep trying. All right, what's up next?
We got Amtrak.
Amtrak's still around.
Yeah, I didn't know.
Are you riding trains lately?
No.
Who is?
Amtrak, the
All
people
right.
on Amtrak.
Tell me about it.
So I looked at their account, and actually I got sent over a reel probably 3 times from marketing friends. I think somebody on our team.
Yeah, Steven, I think.
Steven.
Let's give Steven the
in
pub.
The room. And then another friend of mine, and I was like, what is going on? Finally, when I was thinking, like, what are we going to talk about for content of the week? This popped up, and I was like, oh my gosh.
Because you were super planned out with content of the week.
No, I was dying.
You're doing great, Britt. You're doing great.
But anyway, so Amtrak, I pulled up their account yesterday, and I was like, oh my gosh, they're using word art for their, like, nostalgia, love, just bring me back, but also,
all right, don't
like,
spoil it. Let's just check a clip out.
Fine, just do it.
Yeah.
Show you guys.
Friday! Don't miss the first day of summer on the train. Flying, don't be ridiculous.
All right, so
What do you think?
yeah, they're using clip art. I kind of dove into their channel a little bit to kind of see what they're really doing. And here's what I think they're doing. I love some good entertaining content. But I always like to know, like, what's the purpose behind it? Because there's something they're doing. If you look through their channel, it's all people that look like Steven.
Yes.
Right?
Cool
like
people.
younger, cool people.
Cool
Not
people.
me. You actually, Britt. You and Steven could be on this channel.
I'm so
John
glad.
could be on this channel. Actually, all you guys could be on this channel except for me. Yeah, maybe not Alex. Me and Alex can't be on this channel.
We should dress Eric, guys.
Yeah, don't
Sorry.
do it. But here's what they're doing. They're trying to make trains cool to younger people.
Yeah.
And like, I get it. Like they're saying, man, everyone's flying. How do we get people to know that we still exist? And so their channel is a little bit, it's not unhinged. It's not like an unhinged strategy, but it is very Gen Z.
They're almost there. Yeah.
It's very Gen Z. And so that's what I think when I see this content. But at the end of the day, like, I don't care. They know who their audience is, and they're trying to entertain them. In social, man, 5 stars. 5 gold stars while I'm doing check marks. I don't know
They
why.
don't know who their audience is. They know who they want to reach.
Right, it's the aspirational
Yeah,
audience.
they're
Right.
definitely. And like,
Yeah, and
even
there's so many people that we even talk to all the time that are like, here's our aspirational audience. And they're like, great, let's do this. And they're like, oh, no, we're not ready to do that. And it's like, oh, so you're not really ready to go all in. And Amtrak, going all in.
Yeah. Go
So
touch
jump
some
on a
grass.
train, everybody.
Touch
Or
some
just
grass.
go check out their Instagram account. All right, everybody, that is Radical Content, episode 26. Thank you to Brittany, everybody. Give it up for Brittany.
Woo!
She's going to be back. She's going to be doing this more. And man, is it so much more fun to interact with somebody. So you can have a little less of me just yelling at you through the camera and a little bit more of Britt. But thanks to everybody that was a part of this. Hey, if you like Radical Content, oh, by the way, I got to read a review. Can I read a review? Is that cool? It's from a friend, so probably super biased, but whatever. There's other people out there that are thinking this. You're just not sending it to me. You're not texting it to me. So shout out to my buddy Jimmy. He texted me this week. This was the Harry Potter Social Media Engagement Center episode. Fantastic episode of radical content. Probably my favorite so far, which means he didn't like any of the other ones. No, I'm kidding. He said, this will take off. Don't stop doing exactly what you're doing. Isn't that cool? I thought that was cool. And then I told him, can you post this on the internet? And stop texting it to me so other people will see it and figure it out. So no, thank you, Jimmy. And thank you to all the other millions of comments. But you should do that. If you liked this, hopefully you share it with your boss, you share it with your team. That's always the first thing. I think that's the most helpful thing because we want to be helpful. But if you want this to reach more people, comment on this and just say, I liked it. I think this episode is good. I think we should have more of Brittany, whatever you want to say. I want to see Steven on camera, whatever you want to say. Because we love this. We want to keep doing it, and it's for you guys. So that's it. Episode 26 in the books. We'll see you later.